results coverage on Mix 96 FM WKOV with Pete Wilson and the entire Telegram News crew. Stay tuned all evening long for coverage from Jackson County and Vinton County and all across the state of Ohio. And now let's go live to Pete Wilson from the Telegram News.
Evening, everyone.
Of the 2024 primary election. Hello, everybody. My name is Pete Wilson. I'm the editor of the Telegram newspaper, and the Telegram is part of Total Media. I'm here in Total Media's John Pelletier studio to bring you all the local election returns as they come in from both Jackson County and Vinton County. This evening, our main job, of course, will be to announce the election returns from both counties, and we promise we'll do it just as soon as they are available. Telegram multimedia journalist Jeremiah Shaver is joining me here in Jackson County, along with our silent but very important partner, Hayden Milliken, who is manning our production board and making sure our broadcast works as it should, transitioning between the breaks and back and forth between Jackson County and Vinton County. In Vinton County, by the way, our longtime radio colleague, Jeff Thacker, is standing by. He'll be reporting the results as we are here in Jackson County. The Telegram's Red Thompson Jr. is up there by his side. He'll be on site to report for the newspaper. How we plan to do this tonight, we are going to file reports at least every 15 minutes to make sure we are as current as possible reporting the returns. As long as we have something to give you, we will stay on the air. So that's unpredictable how that will work. As I speak, it's just a little bit past 8 p.m., and this is our first report. Of course, the polls closed at 7:30 p.m., and we already have some reports in. We have early votes in from Jackson County, and we have reports in from the state, from some district and state races of interest too. So we're going to get a congressional race. We have 11 Republican candidates running, including a local son, Jackson County's Larry Kidd. And we'll just give you a little hint in the early going, Larry is doing very well. We'll give you the specifics in just a minute. And then also we'll look at the United States Senate race and also the president's race, both statewide and locally. First of all, in Jackson County, in the early votes, on the Democrat side, Joe Biden, 247 votes. Dean Phillips, 35 votes. On the Republican side, Donald Trump, 1,045 votes. Then it goes all the way down to Nikki Haley with 126. Ron DeSantis, 22. Chris Christie, 23. Vivek Ramaswamy, 15. Of course, it's the presumed nominees. Not much drama there now. It's going to be, on the Republican side, almost certainly Donald Trump. And on the Democrat side, the current president, Joe Biden. Okay, looking on down the line on that Senate race in Jackson County, it's actually Frank LaRose leading in Jackson County. He's the Secretary of State, 455 votes. Then Bernie Moreno, who was endorsed by President Trump, 349 votes. Matt Dolan, 330 votes. In Jackson County, on the early voting for Congress, not a surprise, Jackson County and Larry Kidd, a big leader, almost 60% of the vote in an 11-candidate field. Very impressive. 710 votes for Larry Kidd. Second is David Taylor with 163 votes. Then Shane Wilkin, by the way, he is the current state senator for the 17th district, 116 votes. Tim O'Hara, 90 votes. 34 votes for Ron Hood. 23 votes for Tom Wang. 29 votes for Phil Heimlich. 12 votes for Kim Georgeton. 10 votes for Niraj Atani. 8 votes for Derek Myers, and 4 votes for Charles Tassel. Looking on down the list on the highlights for Jackson County, we'll go right to the levies. There are, by the way, 9 Republican incumbents that are running for re-election in Jackson County in 2024, but all of them are unopposed. We'll give you the complimentary votes later on, but they are all going to be nominated tonight. In the village of Colton, 2 levies. One for fire services. In the early going, that levy is leading 10-5. There's also a levy for the village of Colton for police services. That levy right now is losing 9 votes to 6. So very light voting in Colton, 1 levy winning, 1 levy losing. In the Madison-Jefferson Joint Fire District, there's a renewal levy for the fire department. That's fire service in Madison and Jefferson Townships, as well as the village of Oak Hill. It is passing easily, 71 votes for, 14 votes against. I'm going to turn the microphone over to Mr. Jeremiah Shaver, and he has some results from a wider area in the United States Congress 2nd District race. That's the one where Larry Kidd is one of the candidates. And then also he'll look at the United States Senate vote statewide and the president vote statewide.
Thank you, Pete. So looking at the district for the Congress race that Pete was just talking about, that's the 2nd district for Congress. And let me refresh the numbers here because it refreshes the page every few minutes here. So let me refresh so we have the latest numbers for the district. And currently leading the pack is David Taylor. That is 3,373 votes, followed by Larry Kidd with 3,231. And then you have Tim O'Hara, right? Tim O'Hara with 3,016. That's your top 3 right now. And moving in to your number 4, Ron Hood with 1,361. Sean, is it Wilkin?
Wilkin.
1,303. And then we start getting into the smaller numbers here. We have Phil Heimlich with 598. And Tom Wang, 577. And then the one you're going to have to help me with, Pete.
Neeraj Otani.
That is 310 votes for them. And then Kim Georgeton, that is 357. And Derek Meyer, 249. Charles Tassel, 152. And I think I touched on all of them there, Pete, for the district.
Right, and the only Democratic candidate is Samantha Meadows. And so she's sweating less than anybody tonight because she will be nominated by default. She did run for the congressional seat 2 years ago, and she is the lone candidate on the Democrat side. She'll take on the winner of that 11-person race on the Republican side.
Yeah, and Samantha Meadows, the Democrat, currently has 3,794 votes, Pete.
All right, well, here's what we're going to do. Jeff Thacker, as we said, is standing by in Vinton County, and we're going to put him on for an early report, or he's going to set the table. We're not sure, but we want to hear from Jeff right now. Okay, we're going to leave it right here in Jackson County right now. We're going to reconnect with Jeff. We had him on the line just a minute ago, but we'll get him back. But in Vinton County, certainly some interest up there. Unlike Jackson County, where there are no locally contested races in county government, there are 3 primary races in Vinton County, all involving the offices of county commissioner. 2 county commissioner seats are on the ballot in Vinton County, 2 different terms of the 3 commissioner seats. And on the Republican side, there's contested races for both of those seats. On the Democrat side, there's a 3-way race for 1 of those seats. And so we'll definitely, folks in Vinton County will definitely want to tune in there. We'll certainly give those results just as soon as we have them. We do have the first votes in from Jackson County, so I imagine Vinton County will soon follow. And so, we'll be waiting to hear from Jeff on that when he reconnects. But we'll go ahead and set the table for you while we're on the air. We plan to file reports, as we said, at least every 15 minutes. Now, we may stay on the air for half hour at a time or more, as long as we have something new to say. Right now, as we speak, it's going on 8:15 p.m., and we'll report every 15 minutes. If we take a break because we're all caught up, we'll come back either at the 15s or the 30s, the 45s, or at the top of the hour, and so on until all the final results are done. All across Ohio, the polls did close at 7:30, so no more voting. The votes will be coming in. We've already got some returns, of course, from Jackson County, and we know from those statewide results they're coming in from other counties as well. In conjunction with our radio broadcast, we want to tell you, of course, the radio is on 96.7 FM, and remember, you can listen on the app as well. You don't have to be plugged into a radio somewhere. We usually get a lot of listeners that way. So, if you're out and about and you've got your phone or your laptop with you or your iPad, you can keep up with the results even on the move. Also, we're streaming live with a video feed on the Telegram News Facebook page, the Jeremiah Shaver, the Telegram News page, the Main Street TV page, and the Total Media Facebook page. But I earnestly provide our audience with this warning on the video, and Jeremiah, I think you agree, neither of us have a face for radio or for TV. So we're better suited to radio, but here we are anyway. As for tonight's election in Jackson County, it's going to be a relatively quiet night. We've already told you there's 9 county government seats on the ballot in Jackson County, but there are no contests on the Republican side. All the incumbents are running for re-election, but none of them are opposed, and there are no Democratic candidates at all. So these Republican candidates that get nominated tonight, and they are all incumbents, they will be the nominees, and unless there are independent candidates that file or write-in candidates, they're going to be elected by default in November. Now, the independent candidates had to file by 4 p.m. yesterday. As of the weekend, there had been no independent candidates, but I wouldn't be surprised if one or more have filed. We'll certainly be following up on that. Of course, we do have the 2 tax levies, or the 3 tax levies, 2 in Colton and 1 in Madison Jefferson. We'll be paying attention to them.
And the Village of Oak Hill, sir.
And the Village of Oak Hill, the Madison Jefferson Fire District, when it started out, did include just the 2 townships, but they picked up the Village of Oak Hill later, so a lot of voters are involved there. Many local voters, of course, have interest in the congressional races. We said 11 Republicans running, including Larry Kidd from Jackson County. And then on the Senate side, 3 candidates running, Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose, Cleveland area businessman Bernie Moreno, and also State Senator Matt Dolan. They all want to be the Republican nominee to take on the Democratic incumbent Sherrod Brown, who was unopposed in the election. Of course, Senate is a 6-year term. Big deal in the state of Ohio, but has national implications as well over control of the Senate, so we'll see what happens there. Because people are interested in that, because they may not be in front of their television sets or whatever, we're going to keep up statewide and locally with the United States Senate race and the congressional race as well. As always, our coverage is being heard tonight on 96.7 FM, also the app. We don't want to let you forget about that possibility. Immediately after the results are known tonight, we'll be posting the results, at least the highlights, on the Telegram's website. We'll be working late to do that. The Telegram's website is thetelegramnews.com. That will also be posted on the Telegram's Facebook page. On the newspaper side, we will follow up with more in-depth coverage in Saturday's print edition. Because of printing deadlines, our printing deadline for tomorrow's paper was actually 5 p.m. earlier today. We can't put the election returns in Wednesday's print edition, but we will follow up Saturday, and we'll add some in-depth coverage as well. On Wednesday, listeners can also hear summary reports of the local election results on our newscasts, on our local radio stations. Jackson County Broadcasting is delivered by Matt McKee. Also, Total Media includes Main Street TV. Of course, we have a live show every weekday at 9 a.m. That is moderated by Jennifer Ratcliffe, and we know that we're going to have some election returns and commentary on tomorrow morning as well. We've been told by the Jackson County Elections Board to expect 2 reports tonight. We've already got 1. The first, which we've heard about, just to review, it includes the early in-person votes, all the votes that were cast in the elections office in the early in-person voting period, which was a month before the election night tonight, and then also the absentee votes that have arrived before now. Absentee votes could still arrive in the mail after tonight, and some of those will be counted later, but most of them actually should show up tonight. The second and final report will include all the voting, combining the early votes with the votes cast today on Election Day. Even with these votes, it will be the unofficial results. They don't become official until they do the official count, which is within 2 weeks of the primary election day. The only votes not included in the second report will be the late absentee votes and the provisional votes, and usually they account for a very small percentage. All right, Jeremiah, I think that you have some numbers. It's very interesting, the early votes that have come in versus the votes that will come in later. We don't know how many of those will be, but we do have some numbers on how many people voted early in both Jackson and Vinton counties, and that is kind of an early indicator of voter turnout.
That's right, Pete. Before I give those, I wanted to mention we got a message there from Jeff Thacker, and he said that he'll be calling in once he hears something.
Okay, all right. Well,
from Vinton County there.
Nothing in from Vinton County yet, but Jeff is standing by waiting.
Yeah. So we pulled the absentee reporting information earlier today, and it kind of gives you a breakdown of numbers. And most of these numbers match what was given on the report here. Obviously there's some that are disputed, whatnot. Kind of the overall ballots cast, which is the early in office, and the absentees, it's 1,556 absentee and or early in office, and that kind of breaks down to you have in office 1,246, you have mail 273, you have nursing home 55, you have hand carried 2, and then there's a couple other where it says like a problem app. I don't know if those are counted or not. When it says a problem app, I don't know if it's like an application, problem with an application, I'm not sure. And then there's 3 others there that I don't know if they count in that total or not. The majority of those break that, because they even break it down by party. The majority of those are Republican, and then Democrat, and then non-party. So you had some folks just voting for the levy and not voting for any of the candidates. So that kind of breaks that down. Do you want to discuss the Vinton County?
Yes, let's go ahead and do that too.
So we have Vinton County. This is their absentee and early in office reporting. Their data shows 645, and the breakdown for that in office, that was 310, mail 253, hand carried, large number here, Pete. Well, not a large number. I think it's a large number, but it is Vinton County, 75, and then nursing home 7. And then the breakdown of that, you have Republicans 463, Democrats 182. So that is a breakdown of that early in office reporting data.
All right, well, very good. Once again, we want to, before we take a break or we wait for Jeff Thacker to report in, we want to thank the local elections officials in both counties for their cooperation, especially tonight as we await the results. They have worked hard, not only today, but in the period leading up to the election, to conduct the election. Remember, it gets a little bit harder for them and busier because of the early in-person voting. We want to thank in Jackson County Elections Director Margaret Casey, Deputy Director Bobby Henry, and the Elections Board members Kim Milliken, Kaida Newell, Elaine Speakman, and Debbie Canner. In Vinton County, we would like to thank Elections Director Melissa Hale, Deputy Director Marie Reffett, Elections Board members Bernice Mitten, Barbie Hammond, Sandy Fee, and Tony Rose. So, we've set the table for you. We've even given you some voting results. It's just a matter of time until all the votes are counted and reported. Once again, the polls closed at 7:30 p.m. It's just a little bit of about 45 minutes since then. It's likely that many of those votes that were cast out there at our polling places in Jackson and Vinton counties are probably at the Elections Board office being tabulated now. However, it's not like a ball game. It's not 9 innings. It's not 15-minute quarters. We don't know when it's going to end. It ends when it ends, but we will be here until it ends. Our 2 promises are always the same. We will pass along the results just as soon as we can, and we will stay on the air until we're all done. We'll be back in just a few minutes with our continuing coverage. You are listening to Live Election Returns from Jackson County and Vinton County. This is WKOV 96.7 FM.
results coverage from Jackson and Vinton counties on Mix 96 FM. And now, once again, let's go live to Pete Wilson, Jeremiah Shaver, Jeff Thacker, and Red Thompson.
All right, we're back here in the John Pelletier studio here, reporting on WKOV 96.7 FM. Live election returns from Jackson County and Vinton County and beyond tonight. And speaking of beyond, we got Jeremiah Shaver ready with an update on the U.S. congressional race, 2nd District, and also the United States Senate race and the presidential race as well. All contested.
That's right, Pete. Looking at the numbers there for that Congress race, leading the pack, you still have David Taylor, that is 8,169. Coming in second, Larry Kidd, that is 5,856, followed by Tim O'Hare, that is 5,751, and then it is Shane Wilkin, 2,442, followed real closely by Ron Hood, 2,441. And then you have, let's see, Pete, then it starts getting into the smaller numbers, and I lose my place, sir. So then you have Phil Heimlich, that is 1,663. Tom Wang, 1,112. And then we're just going to start at the bottom here and work our way up. Charles Tassel, 470. Derek Myers, 493. Kim Georgeton, 791, and the one I need help with,
Rajan Tenney,
600.
That might be right. It might not be.
Well, you say it better than I could say it, sir.
All right. Okay.
So that is a breakdown, and we were looking by county, Pete, seeing if any precincts were reporting in, because we assumed that some of this data was early in office absentee, which I'm sure it is. But some of the counties in that district, which it's a big district, I think. Like what, 15, 16 counties?
It stretches almost all the way across southern Ohio from the suburbs of Cincinnati on the east side all the way to the Ohio River.
It is a wide district there. Some of the counties that are reporting precincts in, you have Claremont. They're reporting 22 of 168 precincts.
That's the most populous county, by the way.
And leading the pack out of the, what was it, 10 or 11? 11.
Mm-hmm.
11 Republicans there. That is David Taylor with 3,345. Fayette County has 6 of 25 precincts reporting in. Very, very small numbers there. Let's see. We also have 2 of 20 precincts reporting in Hawking. And strangely enough, here in Jackson County, 13 of 30 precincts reporting in. And you have Larry Kidd leading the pack here in Jackson County with 1,289. Meigs County, you have 12 of 27 precincts reporting in. All very small numbers there, so we won't get into those. Pickaway, 18 of 43 precincts reporting in. In that county, you have Ron Hood leading the pack with 1,580. Ross County, next door here, 16 of 65 precincts reporting in. Also, just very small numbers reporting in there. Scioto County, 3 of 77 precincts reporting in. In that county, you have Larry Kidd leading the pack, 570 votes. In Vinton County, 11 of 20 precincts reporting in there, Pete, it says. And Larry Kidd is leading the pack there with 415. And that's it as far as the district. There's several that haven't started reporting in, such as Adams, Brown. You have Clinton. There's also Gallia next door to us. Highland hasn't reported any precincts yet. Lawrence and Pike. Pike hasn't reported any in yet either. So that's kind of a breakdown from county to county for the district.
All right. And, so what's the explanation that we have some more votes in that Jeremiah is reading off the Secretary of State's website than we're able to report here? We know we reported some early voting here in Jackson County, but, it says there's more votes in, and he's accounted for them on the Secretary of State's website. Very easy to explain. The first thing that they have to do at the Board of Elections, and this is all 88 counties, is they have to send those results in to the state.
To the
That's
state.
where they have to go, and then they go to the media and elsewhere. So
Right.
that does indicate, though, that we are on the track, though, to get results because they seem to be coming in fairly quickly tonight.
When you got to think, here in Jackson County, we only have three polling places now.
Mm-hmm.
So it probably doesn't take as long to get everything gathered up and to the.
That was one of the theories when they went to poll consolidation. So Jeremiah, if you got your phone handy, and I know you do, how about the United States Senate race where we stand statewide, and also the presidential race? Even though we kind of know what's going on there.
Okay, let's see here. We're pulling up the results for this is the statewide statistics for the U.S. Senate race. You have the Democrat Sharon Brown, 177,671 votes, and on the Republican ticket, leading the pack, you have Bernie Moreno.
Bernie Moreno.
Bernie Moreno leading with 103,581, followed by Matt Dolan, 95,065, and then Frank LaRose with 57,306 is the breakdown on that. And just to share some numbers here too. On the it says outstanding absentee and provisional ballots, and this is statewide, Pete, 49,279. And then it says election day precincts reporting in. You have 4.9% reporting in so far.
Okay.
So we got a little ways to go, sir, because there are 8,878 election day precincts.
Right, and some we haven't heard from at all, but we'll have our fingers crossed that it will go quickly tonight, and we can all know the results and go home at a decent time. Okay. Knock on wood.
Yes, and then you asked about the president for the statewide results. On the Democrat side, you have President Joe Biden, 158,545, and then you have Dean Phillips, 19,214. On the Republican side, you have Donald J. Trump, 197,604, and then Nikki Haley, 53,199, and then you do have a couple of those others that were still on the ballot that have a few thousand each.
Right, and it's academic.
I believe those have most of those have dropped out, right, Pete?
Yes, it's academic. I believe that former President Trump either had reached or had nearly reached the delegates he needed. Of course, there's, I think, 5 states that have primaries tonight. Of course, Joe Biden, basically unopposed token opposition as the sitting president. And so, that probably weighed in a little bit on the interest in the election and the participation. Presidential years, it usually always goes up, the participation. But no, we have not heard yet from Jeff Thacker in Vinton County. But we know he's standing by. We promise you that we'll go there as soon as he has something. We know that some votes have been tabulated and arrived in the Elections Board in Vinton County based on what Jeremiah reported from the Secretary of State. So we expect something soon. Now, we want to go over those local candidates in Jackson County. We haven't mentioned their names because they're not in any horse race tonight. They're unopposed. They're happy about that, I'm sure. But we're going to mention their names because it's an honor to be elected to countywide office, and when you don't get opposed, that makes you feel pretty good too. All right, the candidates that are all running for re-election as incumbents, all of them are Republicans, and they're going to be nominated tonight for the January 2nd term for county commissioner. That would be Donnie Willis. This would be his 2nd term. Then you have Paul Haller for the January 3rd term. I think this would be his 4th term if he gets elected. The sheriff is Ted Frazier. The prosecutor is Randy Dupree. This would be the first time that he gets elected. He was appointed to fill the unexpired term of Justin Lovett, who left in his last term to accept a job with state government. The clerk of courts is Seth Michael. The recorder is Krista Brown. The engineer is Melissa Miller. The treasurer is Lee Hubbard. And the coroner is Dr. Alice Frazier. So all those folks are on the ballot tonight. People could have voted, complimentary votes for them. Some people do that. Some people think it doesn't make a difference. But anyway, congratulations to all of them. They are nominees. Now, yes.
I was just going to say I have those numbers if you'd
Oh,
like
go
me
ahead.
to share them.
Go ahead and give us some complimentary numbers.
Yeah,
Jeremiah.
complimentary numbers here. So, Commissioner Donnie Willis, 918 votes. Commissioner Paul Howler, 919 votes. Let me go back here. So, Donnie Willis, 918 votes, and Paul Howler was 919. They had it. It's down on the next page here too. So sorry about that. Randy Dupree, 914. Seth Michael, 1003. Ted Frazier, that is your sheriff. Michael was your clerk of court. Sheriff Ted Frazier, 1028. County recorder Krista Brown, 956. Your county treasurer Lee Hubbard, that is 991. Your county engineer Melissa Miller, 927. And then your coroner, that is Dr. Alice Frazier, 972. And those are all complimentary votes.
Right. And so, all those votes fairly close together there. I think that Sheriff Ted Frazier has the honor of having the highest number of complimentary votes. So we tip our hat to all the officials, and Ted Frazier at the top of the list on the complimentary voting. While we're waiting for Jeff Thacker to report, let's throw out some names in Vinton County. We told you that unlike Jackson County, we got 3 contested races in the primary in Viking Land. And all those races are for the 2 county commissioner spots, 2 Republican contests, 1 Democrat contest. For the January 3rd term for county commissioner, that is the position that's drawing the most interest overall. There are 3 Republican candidates and 3 Democratic candidates. So 3-way races on both sides of the political aisle. That position is currently held by Republican William Wellman. Other candidates who hope to unseat him as the nominee are Jeffrey Harper III and Charles Pittman. The 3-way race on the Democrat side to be the Democrat nominee are Michael Betts, Jeff Fee, and Lynn Harold. For the other commissioner seats, that's the January 2 term. That is currently held by Republican Mark Fout. Fout is being challenged in the primary by Kevin Kozad. There is no Democratic candidate, and so the winner of the commissioner race on the Republican side, unless there's an independent race, the big contest is tonight. However, as we said at the top of our broadcast, independent candidates had until yesterday at 4 p.m. to file. So we'll be checking that, following up on that soon to see if there are independent candidates. Write-in candidates have until sometime late in the summer to file. I would expect if anybody really expects to run the general election, they would rather do it with their name on the ballot than as a write-in. But circumstances, as they say, alters cases. We'll see what happens there. All right, we checked the clock, and we're at nearly at 8:43. That's about time that we were going to take a break anyway. But we do want to once again reiterate that we're following the United States congressional race, we're following the United States Senate race statewide, and the presidential race statewide as well. Locally, we're following the 2 levies in Jackson County, or rather the three levies in Jackson County, 2 in the village of Colton, 1 in the Madison-Jefferson Fire District, and we're also, of course, waiting for the first returns from Vinton County as well. Jeremiah, while we'll fill in a couple minutes here before we take the break, let's take a look at the levies.
Sure.
I know you wrote a story ahead of time for the paper on that, and of course, 3 very important levies to those 2 governmental districts.
Yeah, so in the village of Colton, they had 2 levies on the ballot. One was a renewal for fire services. Currently, that levy is passing. It's for the tax levy 10, against the tax levy 5. And then also there in the village of Colton, they were doing an additional levy for police services. The village, as those who live there know, they've been without a police department for some time. They did have a contract for many years with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, and they ultimately ended up ending that contract with them. They just it came to a point of money, and they couldn't afford it anymore. So they've decided, to ask the voters, hey, if you want police services here in the village, here's your chance to ask for those. Currently, it's very, very close. For the tax levy 6, against the tax levy 9, and a little bit about those. We can talk real quick too, Pete, about those. The one for fire protection services there in the village, it is a 1.75 mil for each $1 taxable value. The owner of a $100,000 home would pay approximately $61 per year, and if the levy is approved, it would be for a continuing term, and that levy would generate $8,000 annually, and that is for fire protection. That second levy that I mentioned for the police services, that levy would generate $57,000 annually, and it's at a rate not to exceed 12 mils for each $1 of taxable value. So the owner of a $100,000 home would pay $420 per year. If that levy is approved, it would be for a continuing term as well. And if we head down to our other village, down Village of Oak Hill, and Madison and Jefferson Townships, they also have the joint fire district down there. It was a renewal for the district, and that covers a wide range of things there for that district, including fire protection. And there's the wordage for it, the ballot language is really long if you look at all the services that it provides. That one is currently passing. It's 71 for the tax levy, 14 against the tax levy, and a little bit about that one. Like I said, it is a renewal for the Madison Jefferson Fire District, so that includes the Village of Oak Hill, Madison Township, Jefferson Township. That levy would collect $307,000 annually at a rate not exceeding 2 mils for each $1 taxable value. That levy would be for a 5-year period, and the owner of a $100,000 home would pay $44 per year. So we will continue to follow those and find out what happens here on the latter part of the evening, Pete.
All right. Well, some quick bottom lines before we take our break. In Jackson County, we do have all early in-person votes in and most absentee votes in. We can't tell you exactly the percentage of voting there, but the important bottom lines is that the two Colton levies in very light voting, very close. The levy for police services losing, the levy for fire protection winning, the Madison Jefferson Fire District levy. We'll say that it looks like it's going to win 71 to 14. Well. Right. Oh my gosh, yes.
And in Colton, you have to remember too, they no longer have a polling location there. Those folks have to travel to Wilson High School to vote. So it'll be interesting to see on the voter turnout today how many of those folks traveled into town there to vote.
Yeah, we will see. More will be told as more votes come in for sure, and we look at the numbers and analyze them and crunch them and compare them to past elections. In Vinton County, we're still waiting for some returns to come in. We do know for a fact that some votes have come in to the Board of Elections up there, so we expect to hear from Jeff Thacker soon, and later from Red Thompson on the newspaper, Red Thompson Jr. on the newspaper side. And in the congressional race for the 2nd district, very important, more interest in Jackson County because of the fact that native son Larry Kidd is in that race, one of the 11 Republican candidates. He is running second, very much in the running for the nomination there. Started out on first and right now running a very strong second. We'll continue to update that race when we come back. On the Senate side, it looks like in what was an interesting three-way race, Bernie Moreno has a slight lead over Matt Dolan. Then there is a pretty good gap down to third place in Frank LaRose. That looks like that might be a two-man horse race between Moreno and Dolan. Moreno, by the way, endorsed by President Trump. Dolan did not take a strong Trump position one way or the other. And, of course, Frank LaRose, even though he was not endorsed, very much a Trump man. So we'll see what influence that may have. Bernie Moreno, since he was endorsed by Trump, became kind of like the front runner in a close race with Dolan, and that's the way it's playing out. So once again, playing the waiting game here in the John Pelletier studio, we're going to take a break, and we're looking at the phone. It is 8:49 p.m. We will be back at 9 o'clock sharp with an update. You're listening to Live Election Returns on WKOV 96.7 FM.
Counties on Mix 96 FM WKOV, Oak Hill, Jackson, Wellston, and MacArthur, a Total Media radio station.
Okay, we're back here in the John Pelletier studio as we have hit the 9 o'clock hour. And we do have updates, as always, from Jeremiah Shaver on the 2nd District United States congressional race. That's the one where Jackson County and Larry Kidd is a contender. And then, of course, the United States Senate race, which now is starting to lean towards one of the candidates. He'll tell you about that. And, of course, he'll give you the latest presidential numbers where, no surprise, former President Trump and current President Joe Biden winning big.
Okay, so to go with the Congress race for the district, the 2nd District, the numbers that we have currently show David Taylor leading with 15,631, Tim O'Hare with 11,153, and then Larry Kidd with 10,063. And then we're just going to go through the numbers. Sean Wilkin, 4,228. And Charles Tassel, 979. Derek Myers, 751. Tom Wang, 1,693. Ron Hood, 4,106. Phil Heimlich, 3,073. Kim Georgeton, that's 1,276. And then Niraj Natani with 925. And then I just gotta load it here, Pete, for the senator, U.S. Senate race. And on that one, we have Bernie Moreno, 198,964, and then you have Matt Dolan with 150,039, and then Frank LaRose with 85,506. And let me load the statewide statistics for the presidential race. We'll give you the numbers for Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Joe Biden has 206,674, and Donald J. Trump with 349,043.
Okay. All right. Well, very good. We did hear off the air from Jeff Thacker, and his latest update is that he expects to have a report, maybe within 10 or 15 minutes or so. So we want our Vinton County listeners in particular to stay tuned for that. And it sounds like we're going to get the whole enchilada at once.
That's what they were saying. Final report there.
Right. We do know, it's a time-lapse thing because they have to be turned in to the Secretary of State's first because, that's official. But we do know, according to the Secretary of State's website, all of Vinton County precincts have reported. So it's just a matter of getting the reports and those votes in our hands, and then Jeff getting on the air and reading them. And he has told us that time is nearing. To set the table for that, I'm going to give you, once again, the people that are on the ballot there. We told you the contested races. There are a total of 3 contested races for the 2 commissioner spots. For the January 3rd commissioner term, the competitors are the Republican incumbent, William Wellman. He is challenged on the Republican side by Jeffrey Harper III and Charles Pittman. On the Democrat side, 3 candidates as well, Michael Betts, Jeff V., and Lynn Harrell. On the Republican side for the January 2 term, incumbent Republican Mark Fount is challenged in the primary by Kevin Kozad. There is no Democratic candidate. Now, going to the other county-wide offices, just like Jackson County, most of the county-wide county government seats are on the ballot in 2024. Except for the commissioner spots, though, there is no opposition in the primary. For Common Pleas Judge, James S. Payne, who is the sitting judge, he was appointed to replace James Salyer last year. He is running for the unexpired term, unopposed in the primary, but in the general election, he will be opposed by the Democrat candidate, who's also unopposed in the primary. That is Lena Featherhoff Rogers. Prosecuting attorney William Archer Jr., the Republican, he was appointed to fill the vacancy left when James Payne, was appointed as the Common Pleas Judge. Archer is running unopposed in the primary, and there is no Democratic candidate. Incumbent Republican Ryan Kane is running for re-election as sheriff. He has no opposition in the primary or the general election, at least at this point. Clerk of Courts is incumbent Republican Jeremiah Griffith. unopposed in the primary, and so far unopposed in the general election, as there is no Democrat candidate. Incumbent Republican Roy Depew is running for engineer. He is unopposed in the primary, and there is no Democrat candidate. For treasurer, incumbent Democrat Vicki Maxwell is unopposed in the primary. There's no Republican candidate to challenge her in the fall. And for county recorder, incumbent Republican Aaron Gates is unopposed in the primary. Once again, no candidate on the other side, on the Democrat side. However, once again, have to remind you, independent candidates had until yesterday at 4 p.m. to file. We weren't aware of any, but frankly, we didn't ask yesterday, so there could have been some who came in late in the going before the filing deadline. It's almost inevitable, and certainly not a surprise if there would be a couple of independent candidates, because then you get to skip the primary and go right to having your name on the ballot in November. So we're going to take a break right now, and we are going to come back. We're going to come back at 9:15 p.m., or we'll come back even before if Jeff Thacker calls in, and by 9:15 there's a good chance that he will. You're listening to Live Election Returns from Jackson County and Vinton County on WKOV 96.7 FM.
Hello.
You're listening to live election results coverage from Jackson and Vinton counties on Mix 96 FM. And now, once again, let's go live to Pete Wilson, Jeremiah Shaver, Jeff Thacker, and Red Thompson.
All right, as promised, Jeff Thacker is ready to give the election returns from Vinton County, and we understand he has them all. And so with no further ado, Jeff, take it away.
Thank you, Pete. For against the tax 36. Democratic delegates at large and alternates at large. Joe Biden Jr., 259. Dean Phillips, 115. Sherrod Brown for senator received 394 complimentary votes. Democratic representative to Congress, Samantha Meadows, received 289 complimentary votes. Democratic Justice of the Supreme Court, Michael Donnelly, receives 304 complimentary votes. Democratic Justice Supreme Court, Melody Stewart, receives 302 complimentary votes. Democratic Justice Supreme Court, term of 12/31/26, Lisa Forbes, 186 votes. Member of County Central Committee, Vinton Township, Stephen Hill with 14 votes. For delegate at large to the National Convention, Chris Christie with 15, Ron DeSantis with 24, Nikki Haley with 81, Vivek Ramaswamy with 15, and Donald J. Trump with 1,611. District delegates and district alternative to the National Convention, second district, Chris Christie with 15, Ron DeSantis with 63, Nikki Haley with 96, Vivek Ramaswamy at 28, and Donald Trump with 1,799. U.S. Senator Matt Dolan with 401, Frank LaRosa with 504, and Bernie Moreno with 684. Representative to Congress, 2nd District, Niraj Antani with 27, Kim Georgeton with 25, Phil Heimlich with 37, Ron Hood with 149, Tom Huang with 83, Larry Kidd with 697, Derek Myers with 26, Tim O'Hara with 238, Charles Tassel with 20, David Taylor with 223, and Shane Wilkin with 125. Justice Supreme Court, Megan E. Shanahan with 1,154 votes. Justice Supreme Court, expiration 1/2 of 25. Joseph T. Dieters with 1,142. Justice Supreme Court, 12/31/26 term, Daniel Hawkins with 1,144. Judge of the Court of Appeals, 4th District, Jason Smith with 1,138. Judge of the Court of Appeals, 4th District, term 2/10/25, Mike Hess with 1,160. Members of the State Central Committee, 17th District, David A. Glass with 1,160. Representative member of State Central Committee, Woman, 17th District, Bonnie Ward with 1,159. Republican State Representative, 92nd District, Mark Johnson with 1,208. Republican Judge Court of Common Pleas, James P. Payne with 1,174. Republican County Commissioner, 1/2/25, Kevin Kozad with 924. Mark Fout with 767. For Republican County Commissioner, term expiring, 1/3/25, Jeffrey Harper III with 654, Charles Pittman with 386, William Wellman with 596. For Prosecuting Attorney, William Luther Archer Jr., 1,171, and Clerk of Courts Common Pleas, Jeremiah Randolph Griffith with 1,336. Pete, that's what we have. Those are complete. Those are all districts reporting. So we'll send it back to you.
All right. Thanks so much to Jeff Thacker up there in Vinton County. He has been our radio reporter for the election for as many years as I can remember. He does an excellent job. We very much appreciate you, Jeff. Also, of course, Red Thompson Jr. Jr., who's done it many years as well, up there covering for the Telegram as well as the Associated Press. So he's got a national reporting job tonight as well. The important bottom lines.
County. Jeff gave you all the results, but the important bottom lines, they kind of jump right out at you. The two Republican incumbent county commissioners who were in contested races were both defeated according to the unofficial results, and the margins are enough that I doubt anything's going to change when all the votes get counted and recounted when they have the official count here within 2 weeks. I believe it's March the 26th in Vinton County. Jeffrey Harper has defeated Jeffrey Harper III with 654 votes, has unseated as the Republican nominee William Wellman, who had 596. That's a difference of 58 votes. And then in third place was Charles Pittman with about 150 votes. 924 for Kevin Kozad, 767 for Mark Fountain. So congratulations to Kevin Kozad. Impressive win for him. The other headline out of Vinton County is the Democrat race for the January 3rd commissioner seat. That's the one on the Republican side won by Jeffrey Harper III. There is a 1 vote difference among the first and second candidate, and the third candidate is only 14 votes behind the winner. Lynn Harrell right now is the leader. We better not call her the winner because she's got a 1 vote lead over Jeffrey Fee with 144. Keep in mind that all the votes are not counted. Late absentee votes and provisional votes, you don't know how many, it is a very small percentage, still have to be voted. But when there's a 1 vote difference, definitely, anything can happen. And as far as that matter, the third candidate, Michael Betts, pretty close too with 131 votes. So that's going to be one that we can't call. The winner as of tonight is Lynn Harrell, but we're going to have to wait until we do the official count here in about a week or so in Vinton County. All right.
If I could, Pete,
yes,
I'd like to apologize to our folks that are listening and watching on social media. I guess we had some buffering issues with the internet, Pete. For the folks that were listening on the radio, you guys were unaffected, but we must have been having some internet issues and lag. I had a lot of comments of folks letting me know that there was an issue with the audio on the video side, on the social media side. I believe we have that fixed now, so everything should be coming through nice and clear. You should be getting a good picture, good audio, and everything. But when Jeff Thacker was on, I guess there was some buffering issues there, so there was some results missed by Thacker. So I'm glad that you went over those numbers there for Benton County, Pete.
Right. Well, those commissioner results, of course, were the ones of local interest. Also, on the presidential side, big, strong support for the two presumed nominees, Joe Biden on the Democrat side and former President Trump on the Republican side. Also, in that second district congressional race, of course, Vinton County, just a very small percentage of the vote in this huge, sprawling district, the second district, but the Vinton County Republicans came out very strong for their neighboring county and from Jackson County, Larry Kidd. And also on the Republican side, Bernie Moreno, the big winner in Vinton County on the United States Senate side. And once again, just to look at some the backstory here, Bernie Moreno, who is a businessman from Northern Ohio, he was endorsed by Donald Trump, and that seemed to really give him a boost. Matt Dolan is in second place, and I've seen some other media and party people at the high levels, the state levels, say that Bernie Moreno is going to win that Senate race. Percentage-wise, on the number of precincts in, it's probably too early to say that, but that's being projected by some folks. And of course, in the congressional district right now, our second congressional district race, David Taylor is winning. He is the concrete contractor from Claremont County. That is the most populous county. He also is a strong Trump supporter. Interesting, in that congressional race, 11 Republicans, and I think 10 of the 11 have clinged to Trump. They've promoted themselves as being supporters of President Trump, almost the first thing that they mention in their campaign ads and so forth. And the one who isn't is Phil Heimlich. He has been very forward about not being a Trump supporter, and he has finished somewhere in the middle of the pack there. I think that alone indicates in the 2nd Congressional District, at least, there is strong support for Donald Trump. So we look at our clock, and it is 9:27 p.m. We're going to take a break until 9:45, and we do expect the final results in from Jackson County about any time. The first results, the early in-person voting and the absentee voting, or at least the great majority of it, came in pretty quickly.
We got those at 8:01 p.m., Pete.
8:01 p.m. They were Johnny on the spot, and so that is the big thing we're waiting on, the final results from Jackson County. And of course, before we go off the air, we'll give you where those other races stand that are beyond Jackson County's borders. Most interestingly, of course, the 2nd Congressional District, where Jackson County and Larry Kidd is a strong contender. You're listening to Live Election Returns on WKOV 96.7 FM. We will return no later than 9:45 p.m.
election results coverage from Jackson and Vinton counties on Mix 96 FM. And now, once again, let's go live to Pete Wilson, Jeremiah Shaver, Jeff Thacker, and Red Thompson.
Okay, this is Pete Wilson back in the John Pelletier studio here as we're getting towards the tail end of our election reporting from Jackson County and Vinton County. And of course, before our last break, we learned about all the results from Vinton County, and we have got with us now one of the big winners tonight, Kevin Cozad, who won the Republican nomination for the January 2 County Commissioner's term. He was paired up in a contest with the incumbent Republican Mark Fout, and Kevin Cozad, according to the unofficial results, a clear victory for him, 924 votes for Kevin, 767 votes for Fout. And Mr. Cozad, first of all, congratulations are in order. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, let me ask you this, Kevin, because I've never talked to you before. Is this the first time you've run for public office?
Yes, it is. First time.
All right, well, very good. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your profession, what you do, and so forth, because now you're in a position perhaps to become a county commissioner starting in 2025. For the folks that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in Vinton County, and I had various jobs, but mostly I've built houses most of my life. I moved to Florida for 10 years and was a construction manager building high-end houses along the beaches in Fort Myers and Naples. But then I had to move back to this wonderful place and reside. We're building a new house out on Curry Road, and it should be completed before I take office.
All right, and let me ask you this, Kevin, since this was your first run at public officer and so forth, what prompted you to want to run for county commissioner?
I love Vinton County. I love Vinton Countyans. This is my homeland, and there's certain things that I saw that I thought could maybe be turned around in a different direction. Vinton County is growing very, very fast, and with the construction background that I do have, there's ways to, I think, curb that, or not necessarily curb it, but to protect the citizens that live here now. And I think the growth is coming from all over the United States, and I think that we should probably, my thoughts were to offer it to the Vinton Counties first, and then try to go to, outside investors. But I just think that, with the background that I have, that I'd be a good asset in trying to fix that problem.
All right, and should you end up being elected, and I don't know, are you aware? Were there any independent candidates that filed that would be on the balloting issue in November that you know of?
Not that I know of. I think tonight's it. I think it's now commissioner-elect.
Right, you're right. There was no Democratic candidate. We know that for sure. When you talked to the voters and you made your connections, we know there was a lot of signs out all ways and like that. Was there any issue or issues that you talked about and that seemed to be on the voters' minds that may have helped you get elected?
There were several different things, but I think the Vinton County was ready for a change. I ran on the kind of the premises of I'm retired and I can devote a lot of time up in that office to try to get things done. I think that the government's passing out money, and I think that Vinton County ought to go for all we can. We still have many people without public utilities in this county, and I want to build on what's there. I'd like to get it a little bit quicker, but we are messing with the government.
Right, and I know since this was your first time running and you were running against an incumbent, when you heard the final results in that you had won and by a clear margin, I guess were you surprised, and how did you feel about the support that you did get?
Well, I mean, like I said, I've knocked on just about every door in this county. Dog bit a few times, drug a muffler off my car, But the Vinton Countyans were, my reception was overwhelming. I think they just were ready for change. People, they want their voices heard.
All right. Well, very, very good then. Unless there is an independent or write-in candidate, and we don't know that there is, it was all on the line tonight in this Republican primary. So, Kevin, once again, we always congratulate the candidates that run, whether they're successful or not, because it's not easy to always put yourself out there in an election like that and try to, win the favor and get people to support you. And there's always some people that's not going to support you. It's quite an endeavor to run for office. So once again, from Total Media, the Telegram, and the radio, congratulations, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you on down the line.
Absolutely, and I'd like to thank the people of Vinton County, and you guys too. Thank you very much.
All right, and thank you very much. That's Kevin Kozad, one of the big winners tonight in the primary election in Vinton County. The other winners in the Republican primary for the January 3rd term, which is the one of the other 3 commissioner seats, the winner there was Jeffrey Harper III, and he also was a challenger. The incumbent there was William Wellman. That race was pretty close, but still a 58-vote margin is what we see here on the unofficial results. So Jeffrey Harper looks like he is going to be the Republican nominee. Now, in November, he would face the Democratic nominee, and we're not sure who that is because of the 3 candidates running on the Democratic ticket. There was a difference of 14 votes between 3 candidates. Amazing. 145 votes for Lynn Harold. Right now, she's ahead, but right behind her, nipping at her heels, is Jeffrey Fee with 144 votes, and then Jeffrey Betts with 131. And Lynn Harold is a former elections official in Vinton County, and she knows better than anybody that you can't say that it's over. Votes that are not counted yet include late absentee votes that have not arrived or been counted, and then what we call provisional ballots. There's never very many of those, but when there's a 1-vote difference, that can certainly make the difference. So I believe that Vinton County will be doing its official count, what they call the official count, on March the 26th, and not only will these other votes uncounted be counted, but they will recount all the votes that were cast and counted tonight. So we're going to switch back now. We're still waiting on the final votes in from Jackson County, and just taking a look here real quick to see if they've arrived, and they have not right now. So we're going to go over to Jeremiah Shaver and check out the 2nd District congressional race and the United States Senate race.
Well, Pete, looking at the state secretary site here, I will say that Jackson County is now reporting 100% of their precincts in on the state site, so that means that we should be getting those final results emailed to us at any time, I would imagine, because usually when it updates on the state site, not long after that, we receive an email. So just wanted to note that. Looking at the summary on those statewide statistics for the representative to Congress, that's the District 2 for us. David J. Taylor, the Republican, 21,939 votes, followed by Tim O'Hare, 17,550, Larry Kidd, 16,449, and then we'll run down the other Republicans here on the ticket. Shane Wilkin, 6,634, Charles Tassel, 1,602, Derek Myers, 1,374, Tom Wong, 2,841, Ron Hood, 8,171, Phil Heimlich, 4,548, Kim Georgeton, 2,083, and Nahari Atani, 1,497. And Pete, I got to step away for a second. I got something in my eye.
Okay, that is all right. So the congressional race, we'll kind of like boil that down. I know there are a lot of names to throw at you, a lot of vote totals, but the bottom line is, as more and more votes have counted, a greater percentage of the votes in, it looks like David Taylor is separating himself a little bit, about 4,000 votes or so over the second place person, who is Tim O'Hara, and Larry Kidd, our own Larry Kidd here in Jackson County, a strong third with 16,000 some votes, and that is, everybody is in it to win it, but certainly a very impressive showing by Larry Kidd, who had never run for anything in a district like this, active politically, very well-known businessman, successful businessman, and I know he made a great effort to win this, congressional primary on the Republican side. And right now, though, it looks like David Taylor, who, to my knowledge, has never run for anything district either. It looks like that he right now is in good condition or good position to win it, the Republican nomination. And once again, he would be facing Samantha Meadows, the Democratic nominee on the Democratic side. We haven't mentioned her name so much tonight because she had no competition, but she is going to be the Democratic nominee for the 2nd District, and it looks like she'll be facing David Taylor.
Right, and we're back to Pete. We can go over those U.S. Senate results, these statewide statistics. This is what we have so far on the U.S. Senate race on the Republican side. Bernie Moreno, 421,756. Matt Dolan, 281,768. And then Frank LaRose, 147,194. And then on the Democrat side, you had Sharon Brown. He has 398,209 votes. And then, real quick, we'll take a look at the on the presidential side for the state. You have President Joe Biden, 344,504, and Donald J. Trump, 689,137. So that is where those lie.
All right.
At this hour.
Right. Very good. I think we're getting some clarity now in those district races. We mentioned that David Taylor looks like he is in good position to get that big win in that 11-man field. And on the Senate side, as the evening has gone on, and what started out, as a pretty good 3-horse race, Bernie Moreno has steadily built his lead, and it does look like he is going to emerge as the winner. I know he's been projected already earlier in the evening as the winner by several media organizations. Moreno, it should be mentioned, in the early polling was not running first, but Donald Trump endorsed him. He got that much sought after Trump endorsement, and that sort of changed things. It was still close, but he moved into, for a while at least, #1 in the polls, in a close race with Matt Dolan. And it started out very close with Dolan a close second. Dolan even moved ahead at one time by a very small margin, but then Moreno has steadily pulled away as more and more votes have come in. And I don't think it's too much of a reach to conclude that the endorsement of former President Donald Trump was a big factor in the outcome of that race. And of course, speaking of former President Trump, once again, he was a big winner in Ohio. You say, well, it doesn't really make any difference. He was the only candidate left. That's true, but the names of those other candidates who earlier had been in the race were still on the ballot, and so people, if they wanted to, could have cast a vote for somebody else, but Trump gets the big percentage of the support there. And I think that level of support was even greater in Jackson and Vinton counties than it was statewide. And the same could be said for the sitting president, Democrat Joe Biden, who had token opposition and rolled to an easy victory as well. Of course, Ohio primary is normally on the first Tuesday in May, but in presidential years, it has been always moved up to March. So Ohio has a greater stake, a greater say in the presidential race. As it turned out, the presidential race was kind of already determined a week or so ago, but that's just the way it turned out this year. So the only thing we have left to report are the final results from Jackson County. And frankly, there are no contested races in Jackson County at the county government level. We had 9 candidates who were running unopposed for those county government seats, and there was no, they're all Republicans, and there were no competition in the primary. There are no Democrats that are running on the Democrat side at all. So unless there are independent and writing candidates show up, we are going to have some early winners in this 2024 election cycle. We can't say that yet, but it could turn out to be that way. About the only results, Jeremiah, we're waiting on that are meaningful are those 2 levies in Colton.
And the one down in Oak Hill.
The one in Oak Hill, though, it looked like
it was doing good.
That looked like it was pretty safe for the pros, or the yes votes there. It was 71-14, I think.
Yeah.
So the trend was pretty strong
Yes, yes.
there. And then, but in Colton, very few votes. 3 vote difference, 1 vote difference, something like that.
It was 3 on one and 5 on the other.
Yeah, I think the fire levy was passing by 5 votes, and the police law enforcement services levy was losing
By 3.
By 3. So obviously, it wouldn't take much to swing that either way.
Right.
So that is really the big question left in the village of Colton. That's important for the village of Colton. So we're going to take a break, and we'll. It's 10:05 p.m. The clock just changed from 10:04 to 10:05. We'll be back in 10 minutes at 10:15 p.m. And maybe we'll just wrap things up. Who knows? The live election returns on 96.7. This is WKOV.
You're listening to live election results coverage from Jackson and Vinton counties on Mix 96 FM. And now, once again, let's go live to Pete Wilson, Jeremiah Shaver, Jeff Thacker, and Red Thompson.
Okay, we want to tell you right out of the chute that we do have the final results from Jackson County, and we're going to give you those here in just a few minutes. But first, we've got another treat because we're going to hear from one of the big winners in Vinton County, and we certainly do thank him after a long day for talking to us on the air. And we are talking about Jeffrey Harper III. That name, if you don't know him in Vinton County, a lot of you probably already do. You're going to know that name a lot more because Mr. Harper won the nomination on the Republican side for the January 3-term commissioner seat. To win, Mr. Harper had to defeat two other candidates, including the Republican incumbent who is now in office, William Wellman. So the votes that we have, we'll report those again. Mr. Harper with 654 votes, William Wellman 596 votes, and Charles Pittman, the third candidate in the race, with 386. So first, Mr. Harper, congratulations are in order.
Hey, I really appreciate it.
All right, well, let's, for the folks who may not know you in Vinton County, and I know obviously a lot of them do or you wouldn't be elected, tell us just a little bit about yourself.
I'm Jeffrey Harper III, and I was born and raised here, right in Vinton County. I'm young. I'm 24 years old. Getting ready to be 25 in April, and actually, in 2018, my life took a big turn. I was in a bad car accident that left me paralyzed from the waist down, and I never let that stop me. And anybody that knows me knows that I don't let my wheelchair come to do anything, help or stop me from doing everything. I always depend on God Almighty, and He always brings me through the hard times.
Well, I tell you what, that is an inspirational angle to your election, that you plowed on and tried to do what you were planning on doing anyway, regardless of that accident. And, we're sorry for that, but I know that, that you've moved ahead from that and have a whole lot of things ahead of you now, especially since you've won this nomination. As far as running for county commissioner, especially at such a young age, Jeffrey, what prompted you to even run in the first place, let alone win the nomination?
Well, I always loved helping people out and seeing them all just having fun, smiling, and enjoying life. And I really, really, really want to help the people of Vinton County out. I want to make a difference here in Vinton County. I want to do the best I can. I might not know all of the powers of the Vinton County Commission, but I do know that I am going to get in there and learn everything that I can, and I'm not going to stop. I believe this is a 40-hour plus week job, and I'm going to put this job first.
All right. Well, let me ask you this, and don't be afraid not to be humble about this, because this was a big triumph for you over an incumbent and then one other candidate in there as well. What do you attribute your victory to, and were you surprised, or did you expect that this might happen?
Well, honestly, I was surprised. I know William Wellman, the guy that had the seat, has the seat still, but he's a great guy. He really was. I met him. I went to a bunch of the commissioner meetings, and I just get to know him. I don't know him personally or anything like that. I've met him and stuff like that. He's a great guy. He really is and stuff. And I was surprised. I was just surprised that I was born. I'm kind of in shock.
All right. Well, I know you probably had to work hard to get the election. You had to convince people that you were the man for the job. Was there any particular vibe or any particular issue that you picked up from the voters that seemed to make a difference for them on why they wanted to make a change in office?
Yes, a lot of people. I talked to hundreds of people here the last, couple months. And a lot of the people, we're a small town here in Denton County. I mean, we don't have very much absolutely at all. And it'd be awesome if we could bring some kid friendly for families to get along and have fun, keep kids occupied, especially keep kids occupied from getting in trouble and getting hurt. Something, there's all kinds of things out there, and there's places all around us, like Chillicothe and Jackson, but that stuff is 30, 45 minutes away from us, if not longer, for a bunch of us live back in the woods. And it just, people, I want to make sure that our future kids are going to stay safe and have not as, just stay safe and be careful and doing all that stuff and enjoying life.
All right. Well, unlike Kevin Kozad, who we talked to, he has no competition in November. You know that you're going to have a Democratic candidate. We're not sure who. I don't know whether you've heard or not, but Lynn Harold, 1 vote difference over Jeffrey Fee, and then only 14 votes down Jeffrey Betts. But somebody is going to be on that ballot against you, so you're not in yet. But yet tonight, you can certainly celebrate and be happy.
Yes,
you complimented William Wellman there, and of course he was very electable when he ran for his first term. So a great compliment to you that you were able to win. And once again, we want to congratulate you, and we very much appreciate, after a long day of probably wondering and worrying maybe a little bit, we thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Hey, I appreciate it. I thank you.
All right. Well, very good. Once again, that was Jeffrey Harper, who is the Republican nominee for the January 3rd term for county commissioner. All right. We're going to turn to Jackson County because, as we said when we came back from the break, we do have those results in. And Jeremiah Shaver and Hayden Milligan, they've hung with me tonight. I'm going to let Jeremiah give you the big vote total. The one that we didn't know about was the 2 tax levies in Colton because they were close. And now we know the final result. So, Jeremiah, let's have it.
Well, Pete, they're in the village of Colton. Both of those levies there, they are passing, sir. So the fire service levy, which was a renewal for the tax levy, 30 votes. Against the tax levy, 13. And then you had that police service levy, which was an additional tax levy for the tax levy, 23. Against the tax levy, 20. So that was the votes there in the village of Colton. Down in the southern part of the county, Madison Township, Jefferson Township, and the village of Oak Hill there, you had that Madison-Jefferson Joint Fire District levy. It was a renewal for the tax levy, 399. Against the tax levy, 147. So that is where it stands. Those are unofficial totals. We'll repeat their unofficial totals.
Right, and that 3-vote difference doesn't sound like very much, but once again, we'll get provisional votes, late absentee votes, so nothing is settled. But
Right.
At the end of the official count, if the difference in the votes is anything more than 0.5%, there is no recount unless somebody pays for one. There's an automatic recount triggered unless I'm behind on my election law. Of 0.5% or less. In Vinton County, that one race where Lynn Harold has 145 votes and Jeffrey Fee 144, that is only 0.13% difference. So if that vote would happen to stay the same, and it won't because there's going to be a few more votes, right now, if there was a 1-vote difference, there would be an automatic recount that would take place after the official count. So that one, very much up in the air. We're going to go one more time. I'd like for you to give me the congressional votes because it was close enough that we want to hear that one more time, and then we're going to be able to call it a night.
Okay, I gotta load it here, Pete. I was not prepared.
Okay.
Or as Red Thompson would like to say, I was not ready when the whistle blew, sir.
Well, that is all right. You have hung in there outstandingly, and I appreciate it.
Okay, so pulling up that this is the representative to Congress for District 2 on the Republican ticket. That's the one we've been watching all night. There leading the pack is David J. Taylor, Republican, 25,238 votes. Second, coming in second there, Tim O'Hare, also a Republican, 21,050 votes. And then Jackson's Larry Kidd, Republican, 19,159 votes. And do you want me to do a rundown of the other votes as well?
No,
Pete?
that's okay.
I was going to look here to see where we were at on the percentages for that. I don't know if it'll tell me how many's still out. Looks like Adams County is 100% in. Brown County is 54% in. Claremont County is 100% in. Clinton 100%. Fayette 100%. Gallia 100%. Highland County is 80%. Hocking 100%. Jackson County 100%. Lawrence County 100%. Meigs County 100%. Pickaway 100%. Pike County 100%. Ross, Scioto are both all in. Benton County is all in as well. So there's still a little bit out, not a lot, but most of that district is reporting in.
All right, we're going to run down the final vote totals in Jackson County for some of these unopposed folks who were running for countywide office, because that's pretty important that they have received the nomination even though they weren't in a contest. And then we'll also mention the Jackson County votes for some of these district races, because mostly what we've given you along the way is the totals from all around the district, because that's what counts at the end of the day. But we'll do the Jackson County totals as well real quickly, and then we will call it a night. For those countywide offices in Jackson County, these are complementary votes. All 9 of these Republican incumbents have been nominated tonight because they had no opposition. Donnie Willis for the January 2 commissioner term, 2,492 complementary votes. Paul Haller for the January 3rd county commissioner's term, 2,491 votes. For county prosecutor, Randy Dupree, 2,519 votes. Seth Michael for clerk of courts in Jackson County, 2,762 votes. And then the top vote getter for the complementary votes of these unopposed county officials on the Republican side, Sheriff Ted Frazier, 2,802 votes. For county recorder, Krista Brown, 2,593. For treasurer, Lee Hubbard, 2,685 on the ballot. He's B. Lee Hubbard. For county engineer, Melissa Miller, 2,465 votes. And then for county coroner, Dr. Alice Frazier, 2,563 votes. For president, on the Democrat side, Joe Biden, 415 votes. Dean Phillips, who was his token opposition, with 80. So that means Biden got 84% of the vote in Jackson County. In Jackson County on the Republican side, no surprise, Donald Trump runs away with it, even though there were 4 other names on the ballot. 2,972 votes for Donald Trump. Then you go all the way down to 267 for Nikki Haley, and then in double digits, under 100 in order, Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, and Vivek Ramaswamy. Donald Trump gets 88% of the vote there. For United States Senate in Jackson County, probably not a surprise given the support for Donald Trump, his endorsed candidate for United States Senate, Bernie Moreno, who has also won statewide, we think, 1,401 votes in Jackson County, big victory. 990 votes for Frank LaRose in second place, and Matt Dolan, 769 votes, was in third place. So LaRose, who ran third statewide, is second in Jackson County, and Dolan is third. Samantha Meadows for Congress in Jackson County, 422 complementary votes as the Democrat nominee. Here are the congressional votes broken down in Jackson County. As expected, Larry Kidd, a huge winner. Folks, of course, this is where he has lived most of his life, does business here. 1,930 votes. In an 11-candidate race, he gets over 58% of the vote in his home county. After that, it drops down to 378 votes for David Taylor, and Taylor happens to be the man who appears to be on his way to a victory in the district-wide race. Then it's 330 votes for Tim O'Hara. 256 for Shane Wilkin. He is the sitting state senator in the 17th district, which is part of the 2nd congressional district. Then 146 votes for Ron Hood, 101 for Tom Wang, 79 for the anti-Trump candidate, Phil Heimlich, 32 votes for Derek Myers, 30 votes through Kim Georgeton, and 27 votes through Niraj Antani. All right, and then we already gave you the levy results. We should tell you on the Democrat side, there were, on the statewide stuff, Sherrod Brown, of course, was not opposed for senator. So, he's the big winner there. But on the one of the races for Supreme Court, the only race for Supreme Court on either ticket was on the Democrat side, Lisa Forbes and Terry Jamison. And in Jackson County, Lisa Forbes defeats Terry Jamison 248 to 220. We want to mention that not only because it was a contest, but because Terry Jamison actually made an appearance in Jackson County at a campaign event. She went out of her way to come here. So those are your highlights there. And Jeremiah, you have something else?
Yeah, I think we should mention this as well. In Jackson County, there are 20,452 registered voters, and for this presidential primary election here on Tuesday, March 19th, there were 3,973 ballots cast. That is an overall voter turnout of 19.43%.
Okay, all right. Well, we didn't expect a real big turnout in Jackson County. There were no countywide races there. The presidential race, pretty much an afterthought because of the lead that Donald Trump piled up, and Joe Biden, of course, pretty much unopposed as the Democratic candidate. But still some important decisions tonight. All those people on the Republican side that were unopposed running for countywide office, they are winners tonight, even though, they didn't have to beat somebody to do it. Since nobody ran against them, I think you could almost surmise that people are satisfied with them. So congratulations to all of them as well. So we are at the end of a long night that started more than a couple hours ago. And we appreciate all you hanging with us through all this. We appreciate Jeremiah Shaver, Jeff Thacker, and Red Thompson, Vinton County. We appreciate Hayden Milliken on the board. Everything went pretty smooth. Remember, on the telegramnews.com, we'll have some summary reporting tonight. On the website, we'll have more in-depth reporting in Saturday's print edition. Our print deadlines are such that we couldn't do that in the Wednesday print edition, but that's just the way it is. We will also be talking about it a little bit on Main Street TV, and we may have a little bit of a video report to lead into that. So lots more election coverage coming. We'll know a lot more, and we'll have more facts. We'll have some interviews from some of the winners as well, written into our more in-depth articles coming in the paper on Saturday. So on behalf of Total Media and all the team that worked tonight, in fact, everybody at Total Media who contributed to this in some way, we certainly appreciate it. We appreciate the audience out there for listening tonight. Once again, this is Pete Wilson reporting for Total Media. This has been Live Election Returns from Jackson County and Vinton County. Good evening, everybody. This just in.
The Telegram News has a new website,
thetelegramnews.com.
Same dedicated coverage.
Same trustworthy news with a brand new look.
Covering Jackson and Vinton counties and surrounding areas.